right, salute. What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Thank you so much for being here. Today is going to be a little bit different. I'm going to go into history today, and I want to give you a deep dive into the mentality of where I come from when I make videos, when it comes to the books I've read, the literature I've read, the philosophy I've read, or even modern literature, when it comes to what's coming, those who are stepping out on a limb and predicting things and like going out of their, stepping out of the comfort zone, even being a part of the public spotlight in a negative way. I want you to remember one thing. Every scientist that we admonish, every scientist that we say, oh, Galileo, Einstein, all, Copernicus, all of these guys, literally, even Da Vinci and stuff like this, these guys were considered heretics in their time. It wasn't until after their passing that society came around to it. And this is what I want you to understand. This video is about being yourself without apology. Put it out there. Whatever it is that's inside, put it out there. Give the world your gift that only you have, and don't be afraid to release it. I don't care about the criticism that you're gonna get, shadow banning or whatever, humiliation, whatever comes with this. There is nothing worse than not giving your talent to the world, because had these other guys not went out on a limb, even Isaac Newton was considered a heretic. All of these people, everyone that's come out with any theory, whether it comes to religion, science, theoretical physics, particle physics, even physics in general, were considered like heresy at one point, if you want to just be honest. But I want to go back and I want to talk about someone specifically that really inspired me. And this is a French philosopher by the name of Alexis de Tocqueville. He wrote a book in back in the 1800s. I want to say 1835, around 1835, called Democracy in America. And he saw the experiment and how it was working. Yes, it had its flaws, but he wrote a book based on his observations of traveling to America, because democracy was a new experience, an experiment at the time. And people didn't understand it. Everyone was saying and criticizing and ridiculing and saying it would fail. But he came here and he understood how it could work and how it would fail. And he wrote a book about this called Democracy in America. And shout out to Alexis de Tocqueville, one of the most inspirational philosophers in my own personal life. And I'm going to read an excerpt from him. And I want you to understand how this man predicted exactly where we are today, damn near 200 years ago. Shout out Alexis de Tocqueville. He wrote a passage in his book called, "It covers the surface of society with a network of small, complicated rules, minute and uniform, through which the most original minds and the most energetic characters cannot penetrate to rise above the crowd. The will of man is not shattered, but softened, bent, and guided. Men are seldom forced by it to act, but they are constantly restrained from acting. Such a power does not destroy, but it prevents existence. It does not tyrannize, but it compresses, enervates, extinguishes, and stupefies a people, till each nation is reduced to nothing better than a flock of timid and industrious animals, of which the government is the shepherd." And this passage was most of the former presidents, I'm talking about especially our founding fathers, our framers, and all the guys going way back, read this philosophy and understood the delicacy of democracy, but they also understood how easy it would be to attack an individual if the government was allowed to become too big. And I want everyone that's watching this video, I'm not telling you what to do. I'm not advocating anything. What I am telling you is that he predicted exactly what is going on today. People are not told they can't act. But when they decide to act, then they're told, well, you can't do this or this or this. It's basically soft tyranny. Soft tyranny. And most people of the West, and in my opinion, I can only speak for America, but from what I hear, other Western nations are dealing with the same thing. The soft tyranny that extinguishes a person's inner, their own ability, like what you have inside and what you bring to this world, what you offer this world. Your true inner gifts are going to be extinguished if you subscribe to trying to stay within the bounds of the system of, especially what it's become. And remember, if you go back and listen to what I just spoke about, this man, he talked about how rules would little by little trickle in to the system, and to where it basically made people afraid to be who they are, afraid to open up, afraid to share and shine their talents when it comes to who they are. And I want to say this thing: the world, we all, no matter where you are, we need you to be you. We need you to be you. We need your gifts. We need you to be unapologetic about this. Yes, have some discipline, treat people fair, of course. I'm not talking about stepping on toes and, backstabbing and things like this, like using disgusting, tricks to get to where you want to go. This isn't about power. This is about shining and letting your gifts shine from within and giving it to the world, making the world a better place, because the world lacks this. Because people are so beaten into submission, whether or not they realize this. Some people do, some people don't. It's just like the whole indoctrination crap that's been going on for the last 40, 50 years in the American university system. And people aren't asking the questions like, why aren't men going to college? Is it because men are stupid? No, I would argue it's because men have weighed the balances, saying, it's not worth taking out this amount of debt to go get indoctrinated. And we see the result of what's coming out of these universities, no offense. I'm not talking about major degrees, doctors, STEM technologies. I'm not talking about stuff like this. I'm talking about the majority of the crap that's coming out of the university system. People are so indoctrinated. This is really what people don't understand. When you look up the root word of education, educate means to bring forth from within. Meaning if you have 30 children, it's not about a universal broad thing. And I'm not saying, 2 plus 2 doesn't equal 4, of course. It's about bringing those talents to fruition from each person individually, because each person does think differently. And that doesn't mean that, facts aren't facts, of course. But the universities have turned into indoctrination centers. Not to mention the social media, the mainstream media, the political circus that's going on. Everything that's being crammed down the throat, of Americans. I can only speak for Americans, but everything that's being crammed down the throats of Americans is absolutely what was predicted damn near 200 years ago. If that doesn't scare you, this man foresaw this, and I'm talking about Alexis de Tocqueville. He is extremely smart. You should read him. He's got so many passages worth reading. He's one of the smartest minds of all time, philosophers, if you will. I love philosophy. Whether I agree with it or not, I still like philosophy. Nietzsche, I like, Carl Jung. I love, even Machiavelli. He understood. But a lot of these guys could have predicted, Aristotle, what was coming, Plato. And people are not really paying attention that the trap is closing in. And you have very limited time to literally break out of your damn shell and be who you are, because the world needs you. I'm not saying America can use you, America can need you. I'm not saying that your value will be appreciated even there. Maybe it is, maybe it's not. You have to think outside the box and understand. People fled a country to come start afresh and create America. America was the best idea, a great novel idea at the time that people doubted. But people that saw this, witnessed, logged it down, wrote about it, documented this, their observations when it came to like, oh, well, man, America is really succeeding because they were following the tenets of individualism. But where it changed, which it changed a long time ago, but where we are now, man, people are terrified to speak out, to speak up, to even talk about, what needs to be said. People are terrified to speak the truth. They are. Some people are speaking the truth. But you see what's happening to them. But that doesn't mean I'm going to do it. So with that said, I hope this matters. Like, I hope this, reached you. Tocqueville wrote about what would bring democracy down. I'm going to finish it out. I'm going to read it one more time. And I'm sorry, folks. He talked about what the virus that would creep into democracy, in the 1800s, he was writing about what would destroy America. And he says it referring to what you would call today. But it covers the surface of society with a network of small, complicated rules, minute and uniform, through which the most original minds and the most energetic characters cannot penetrate. To rise above the crowd. How dare you rise above the crowd? The will of man is not shattered, but softened. Think about that. The language he used is brilliant. The will of man is not shattered, but softened. It's bent and guided. Men are seldom forced by it to act, but they are constantly restrained from acting. Such a power does not destroy, but it prevents existence. It does not tyrannize, but it compresses, enervates, extinguishes, and stupefies a people till each nation is reduced to nothing better than a flock of timid and industrious animals. Industrious meaning produce for us, pay taxes, all that stuff, of which the government is the shepherd. 1835. You can laugh all you want, but for those of you who ignore history, you're doomed to repeat it or find yourself in an even worse parallel form of ignoring. Like even Ayn Rand talked about, you can ignore reality, but you can't ignore the consequences of ignoring reality. This is facts. Ayn Rand wrote this back in the 50s. She was from Russia, and she wrote, what was that book? A huge book, Atlas Shrugged. But she said you can ignore reality, but you cannot ignore the consequences of ignoring reality. So keep this in mind. And with this said, make the decision, break out of your mold, either step up, break out, and stop living within an existence, as prescribed by everyone else. Or, if you need to leave, so be it. Or just take what's coming. Understand what's coming, though. This situation is not going to get better through an election. You might buy yourself some time. You might buy a respite of time, but it's not going to change because the powers that be are way bigger than you can imagine. Some people understood this. Some people wrote about this way back in history, hundreds of years ago, about the awe of the American experiment. And unfortunately, this is where we find ourselves. So with that said, folks, this is why I chose to do what I'm doing. I chose to leave. I'm not going to be bound. I'm not going to live my life constrained by those restraints of what's right or wrong. Even though I know in my heart what's right or wrong, I'm not going to do it. And if you feel the same way, neither should you. But understand, there's going to be consequences if you decide to stay. obviously, because you're breaking out of the shell. And how dare you do that? How dare you question the narrative? How dare you? You know, critical race theory. We all know what's going on. And I'm not saying that there aren't issues that don't need to be fixed. Absolutely. There are many issues. Is there, like, inequalities? Absolutely. But it's bigger than this. It's socioeconomic inequalities in so many ways. The haves and the have-nots. But the haves are dividing the have-nots, including myself, you know, with the others, and trying to divide us from the other have-nots, as if it's their fault, or as if it's my fault. So think outside the damn box. Read a book. Read some philosophy. Wake up. The world needs you to be you. We need you. Love you. Appreciate every one of you. Throw me some love. Let me know what you think in the comments. I'll see you on the next one. Good night, y'all.